Welcome to Buy It on BirchStreet, the show where we highlight the best of hospitality procurement software, the people behind the solutions, and how they save you valuable money and time. I'm your host, Gareth Fraser. Our guest today is Vice President of Casinos and Gaming, Joe DeVore. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you, Gareth.
Now, Joe, it's well known that your background is extensive in the casinos and gaming industry, and of course, you live in Las Vegas. So can you share with our listeners some of that background and what brought you to BirchStreet Systems?
Sure. I've been in the casino industry for 18 years, in the hotel industry for 25. In the casino industry, I've worked both for operators like Wynn Resorts and MGM Resorts International and the Cosmopolitan, as well as another software vendor that specializes in the casino industry, House Advantage. They're a company that produces loyalty systems for multiple properties where they have one card. They are the software that runs the M-Life program for MGM Resorts, the Be Connected program for Boyd, and then Penn's loyalty program as well. What brought me to BirchStreet Systems first was that I used BirchStreet Systems in my last position at Wynn Resorts. I was the director of the project management office and the vendor management office at Wynn. The vendor management office was IT finance. So my team did all of the purchasing, paid all the invoices, and did the budgeting for Wynn IT. And we used BirchStreet on a daily basis to create purchase orders and requisitions, to match invoices and pay invoices. And I also personally managed the BirchStreet project. As a result of COVID, we had to reduce our staff and let some contractors go. And one of those was the contract project manager who was running the BirchStreet project for Wynn. So I finished the deployment of BirchStreet at Wynn Resorts. I have several mentors in my career, and one of my mentors was approached by a mutual friend of hers with an opportunity at BirchStreet, and she let me know about it, and it sounded really exciting, and that led to being introduced to Brendan, and I had a great conversation with him, and then met the rest of the management team, and we decided that it was a good match, and then I came on board about 2 months ago.
Appreciate the background there, and you're also longtime colleagues with our Chief Commercial Officer, Paul Rantilla, right?
Yes, Paul and I met each other probably around 2000. He was the chief commercial officer for Passkey. We implemented Passkey at all the MGM Resorts international properties, 15 of them. Paul has been a great friend and colleague for many years.
I appreciate the usage of the words friend and colleague. I also work for Paul Rantilla on the commercial team and value him as with both of those assets. Now, we talked before coming on just how exciting this opportunity was for you, Joe, and for us to have you come over to BirchStreet Systems. There was a lot of chatter between colleagues and the team members over here as you came on over, as we talked about just before the interview, the excitement in the industry, the comeback of hospitality and gaming. You just attended the Global Gaming Expo. Maybe you can share with the listeners what it is and what your impressions were.
The Global Gaming Expo is a trade show for casino operators to see what the latest enhancements are for the software vendors and the slot machine and other gaming hardware vendors in the industry. It's a huge show, the biggest trade show that I've personally attended. The floor is just filled with every new product that's coming to market. They have celebrities at the show. It's a true Vegas experience. So what I learned this year is that there's a huge focus on omni-channel marketing. During the pandemic, when we had to close the brick and mortar casinos, we communicated to our customers online and built a really big online presence. In addition, there's been legislation in the last several years to not only legalize sports betting via the web, via applications, but also casino gaming in certain jurisdictions. So when the casinos were closed, the players stay connected to their brand via gaming online. Even when gaming is not approved in a jurisdiction, what is approved is you can play games online but not win any money. It's just a way for the casinos to build deeper relationships with their customers. And after the casinos reopened, they realized that they needed to continue to engage with their customers both online and in person when they come to the resort. Another key learning was the convergence of the video game industry and the casino industry. So casinos have been focused on implementing video game technology for a couple years. Usually it's in a bonus round after you hit a jackpot. But now the gaming aspect is being integrated to the game from the beginning. And the main reason for that is that during the pandemic, the millennials didn't have opportunities for entertainment. So the casino industry is great at marketing and was able to connect to the millennials online. And then after the casinos reopened, they came to property and they started gaming. Now, they've been the holy grail of the casino industry for many years, but now the largest growth in new casino customers are the millennials. So the gaming manufacturers and the gaming operators are very focused on that, and they want to put product out that interests them and that they want. And that came across loud and clear at G2E this year.
Now, Joe, you mentioned COVID and the shutdown in your prior comments here, and it's relevant for our listeners to take a deeper dive in here as we discuss how you were impacted. Of course, Las Vegas was completely shut down. Then there was great celebration when you opened right back up again, and hospitality came back. Casinos and gaming came back. But from your longstanding vantage point, and you being there right at the epicenter of gaming in Las Vegas, what was your perspective on COVID and how it impacted the industry and yourself?
Sure. Yeah, the impact was huge on the industry. Like many industries, there were lots of furloughs and layoffs, and the casinos completely shut down. So fortunately, I work for Wynn Resorts, who was a great employer, and they kept us all on throughout the pandemic. We were very busy in IT doing a lot of work, to do upgrades, things of that nature that require downtimes. We wanted to get all of those taken care of so that when we reopened, we were ready to focus on the operations. What happened in the industry is, as I was mentioning a little earlier, the industry really focused on maintaining relationships with their customers online because that's what was available. And that led to actually acquiring new customers, mainly millennial customers, which was very beneficial to the industry. And when the COVID restrictions were lifted, the casino industry in Las Vegas and other markets in the United States had record-breaking operating results. Wynn Resorts broke records in the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter of this year. They've been open 16 years. These were the best quarters for them in their history. Initially, the pandemic had a negative impact on the industry, but the industry was able to turn that into a positive, and they're operating more profitably now than they have in their history.
That's a great firsthand analysis and clearly answers the question. And you mentioned past, present, and future. We're experiencing this explosive pent up demand to get back to hotels, back to hospitality, back to casinos, back to gaming, amid a supply chain crisis, a labor shortage and shift that's occurred during the period that you referred to. And we saw, as you mentioned, even more profits as hospitality bounces back. So, Joe, in your view, can you share with our listeners the importance of e-procurement for casinos and gaming today?
It's critical, Gareth. First of all, we can't hire in the casino industry and the hospitality industry, like many industries. Even if you have positions available and you're actively recruiting for them, it's a national and international labor market right now. So people who traditionally worked in those type of purchasing roles now have found other opportunities. So there is a compelling need to become more efficient and to automate. The benefits of BirchStreet are really coming into play there. For example, at the Wynn, 95% of our invoices are able to three-way match successfully. The accounts payable team is focusing on only 5% of the invoices. That has been a game changer for the casinos. And then another part of the casinos that's critical is the approvals. The casinos have 5 different business lines. They're a gaming company, they're a hospitality company, they're a spa company, they're a food and beverage company, they're an entertainment company. Oh, there's a sixth one, and they're a retail company. So they're doing buying for all of these different business lines. They have, different approvals that need to happen, different approvers, and all of this is automated by BirchStreet. Another key is the fraud prevention, which is major in the casino industry. Because they're doing so much purchasing, it's impossible to keep your eye on everything. So the fact that you can have requisitions and have those go through approvals and then be flipped to purchase orders prevents people from buying things without approvals. Another key is the order sheets, where you can restrict people only to purchase what they need for their outlet or their department. So a lot of fraud happens where you're buying something that you don't need in your department, and then you take it out back and you sell it to someone in a truck and pocket the profits. So BirchStreet prevents that from happening because of the features that we have. So you can have a huge organization that does a lot of purchasing and still have very tight controls.
Well, Joe, I'm thoroughly enjoying this interview because of your background with BirchStreet Systems, but not just as a user of the system, but also from the holistic perspective through to IT, and that you bring into the finer grain in your detailed answers as to the value of the solutions that BirchStreet Systems provides for its customers. And our team has traveled a lot this year, I can tell you, Joe, domestically and internationally, to a variety of hospitality events where we've observed a lot of chatter about our scaling in our 20th year under new ownership and our experience in the casino and gaming industry, reinforcing your points about unprecedented demand, unprecedented profits, and unprecedented need for labor requiring the automation you described, which is placing BirchStreet Systems solutions, as you alluded to, center stage for P2P. And your role and experience are so highly valued here as you translate your long career in casino and gaming P2P into clear, understandable, comprehensive, fact-based analysis, as you've done with me today, not just for my benefit, but of course for the wider listening benefit of our audience. And I can't believe time's flown by so fast. We only have time for one more question, and it's of a personal nature. What does Joe DeVore enjoy when he's not working 24/7 in the casino and gaming industry representing BirchStreet Systems? What do you do for fun, Joe?
Gareth, I'd love to be in the outdoors. I'm an avid camper. I have a camper and camp as many nights a year as I can, hike, and I like art. So I like to go to museums and go to art shows, just spend time with my friends and family and relax.
Well, thanks for the answer, Joe. It's great for our listeners to hear that you love the outdoors. Now, for their benefit, when Joe first came on board at BirchStreet Systems, we had a 30-minute get-to-know, and we've had many more conversations since. But during that time, he shared with me what he just shared with you. And I was in a bit of a rough patch where I hadn't been out and exercising as much as I wanted to. I'd walk a couple of miles a day. But after talking to Joe, it motivated me to get back to run 5 miles a day, where I used to run 13 a day some years back. So Joe motivated me. Hopefully that will motivate you. We can get out and about and breathe in that fresh air and enjoy the scenery from wherever you are at whatever vantage point you're at. But thanks for the encouragement, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome, Gareth. Yeah, now you're motivating me to step it up. You've been so consistent since we talked. You're setting the bar very high for all of us, which is great.
You've been listening to BirchStreet Systems Vice President of Casinos and Gaming, Joe DeVore, sharing his career experience, journey to BirchStreet, the tried and tested value of our solutions, and what lies ahead for P2P in the casinos and gaming industry. Joe, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. Thanks for coming on by It On BirchStreet.
Thanks so much, Gareth. Have a great day.
And thanks to you, our valuable listeners, for joining us today to learn more about the leader of powering hospitality, food and beverage enterprises with comprehensive P2P solutions. As the global leader of spend management solutions in the hospitality industry, with over 15,000 enterprises trusting BirchStreet Systems in 130 countries, subscribing to a network of suppliers of over 450,000. To learn more, visit BirchStreetSystems.com and click on the Suppliers tab. That's it for today's show. We'll see you next time right here on Buy It on BirchStreet.